Ford, according to people who keep track of such things, is the top-grossing actor in movie history, starring in films that have earned more than $1 billion at the box office. His career, however, was a long time in coming, most of that due to Ford himself.
I never gave up my ambition to eventually make my living as an actor. I did, for a period of time, work as a carpenter, but that was so that I could pick and choose from amongst what few acting jobs were available to me at that time, and to hold out for better parts in better projects.
Among those better parts, the character Indiana Jones. And while Ford could find easier projects, he likes the adventure of playing Indy, even with some strange co-stars.
Oh, rats. Snakes don't bother me, rats don't bother me, bugs don't bother me. It's people I don't really like that much.
Ford is not bothered by Indy's stunts either, and enjoys doing some of the more physical scenes without a double.
I think that there's a lot of opportunity for characterization and for humor and for development of the situation in the context of physical action. And I like to take advantage of those moments. Were it to be on the back of somebody else's head, we'd be robbed of a lot of expression of Indiana Jones's character. I get in shape for every movie that I'm going to do because it's a rigorous business, and whether you're running, jumping, or falling down, or carrying a suit and tie around, it's a tough job.
One that Ford enjoys.
There's something semi-magical about taking something that's just written on a piece of paper and seeing it brought to life and given very particular expression, and that's what I enjoy.
But Ford is not as anxious a moviegoer as the fans lined up for blocks to see this Last Crusade.
When it's over, it's over. I'm usually on to something else, you know.
Do you watch them for yourself? I mean, do you watch your movies for enjoyment?
No, not for enjoyment. For religious instruction. Well, just another day at the office.
Sherry Sylvester, CNN Entertainment News, Hollywood.
Paramount's newest release is an old idea, but Paramount hopes Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade will break the box office and outgross the $243 million it made from the original Raiders of the Lost Ark. Sequels or not, summer releases are critical to the industry.
The summer is the prime time season for the film business. Nearly 40% of the year's receipts from theaters come in the period between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
The major studios took in $1.7 billion last summer, and analysts are bullish on box office prospects this season.
I think there's no question that we're going to have a record summer season at the box office. The real issue is to what degree, how high.
The answer to that lies in the success of the sequels.
Suck in the cuts, guys, with the Ghostbusters.
As long as the accountants run the office at a movie studio, they're going to have sequels, they're going to have tried and true things, and they're going to have remakes.
Sequels are low risk, high yield, and most major studios are featuring at least one familiar theme in their summer mix. Paramount has a blockbuster lineup with Indiana Jones, Star Trek V, and Friday the 13th, Part 8. Columbia is looking to turn around a lackluster year with back-to-back sequels Ghostbusters II and Karate Kid 3. Warner Brothers also needs a hit after a dismal showing last year. It may have found one in Batman. Although not yet released, it is already prompting talk of a sequel.
Nice outfit.
But just in case, Warner's has the Mel Gibson sequel, Lethal Weapon 2. MGM UA is hoping for a hit with yet another James Bond movie, License to Kill. The only major studio not relying on a sequel's prior success is Disney, last year's box office champion. Instead, it is releasing 6 original productions. Analysts can't forecast critical acclaim, but they do expect this season to be a commercial success. In any case, the studios won't have to wait long to find out where they stand. Opening week's ticket sales should tell the story. Beverly Shook, CNN Business News, New York.
the Last Crusade for Indiana Jones, so says George Lucas, who at 45 has created 3 Jones adventures, a trilogy of Star Wars tales, and an empire of his own to engineer more movie-making technology. But the technician is also a writer and a masterful storyteller.
Because a lot of the films that I do are very innovative technically, people assume that that's where all the time and energy is spent. But most of the time I spend is dealing with story and characters and that sort of thing. And the technological part is simply there to tell a story. And a lot of people have tried to copy my films and stuff, and they copy the razzle-dazzle part, but they're never successful at it. People don't go to see razzle-dazzle, they go to see characters and stories.
Lucas is particularly pleased with 2 new characters this time around. Indy's father, played by Sean Connery.
Dr. Jones. Yes?
And a young Indiana Jones, played by River Phoenix. He admits the characters were not the difficulty in writing the story.
The difficulty really comes in the sequences of action, because we've done just about every conceivable chase and daring-do sequence you can do.
But Lucas and director Steven Spielberg offer up chases between horse and tank, good guys and bad. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Lucas's Skywalker Ranch, the creator is working on everything from new technology to amusement park rides.
You're involved in so many areas, so many aspects of filmmaking. What do you get the biggest charge out of?
Well, it's all fun, you know. I mean, I guess in the end, I enjoy making movies more than I enjoy anything else.
Sherry Sylvester, CNN Entertainment News, Hollywood.
Wait till they get a load of me.
When they did, Americans spent a load of money to see the Joker and his arch-rival, Batman.
I never thought of a picture doing $65 or $70 million for the first week. It was never even my comprehension. I don't think anybody else was.
That's the biggest opening in the history of American motion pictures. And it comes just days after Ghostbusters II set the record, which in turn beat the mark set by Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
And in this sort of race, there's no silver medal for finishing second.
But there's plenty of gold to go around.
If we're talking about right now, it looks like the greatest one in history. Never been anything like it. The last 3 years have been good, but this is going to surpass them.
Everything old is new again seems to be the motto of Hollywood, where familiar characters in familiar situations dominate the box office charts.
They are a well-known quantity. In other words, when they're released, the public knows what to expect. If they like the last one, they're going to come back and see the current one.
Not all the films amounted to such escapist fare.
Poetry, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
Dead Poets Society is staying alive amid tough competition, grossing more than $35 million so far. Even Field of Dreams is still in the game. The result has the nation's theater owners cheering.
It is like a snowball rolling down a hill at top speed, and it's going to get faster and faster and faster and go right through the summer.
Warp speed now. There does appear to be limits to the public's willingness to spend money for movies. Star Trek V opened well, but business was down by more than half the following week and half again last week. Still, that's really only an indication of the fierce struggle for the moviegoer's attention in a summer when Americans are expected to spend more at the movies than ever before. Sadie Kenyon, CNN Entertainment News, Hollywood.
I'm here to see some of the wildlife in Gotham City.
Wildlife? Like what?
Like bats.
It was a spur-of-the-moment decision that turned Kim Basinger into Vicky Vale. Actress Sean Young had the role right up to the beginning of filming on Batman, but a riding accident forced her to drop out.
I actually was called on a Friday afternoon. They wanted me in London on a Sunday. I said no way at first, and then I thought about it for 10 minutes and thought about all the elements really involved in this, and I thought, What, Nicholson, Keaton, Tim Burton, Batman, freaky, gamble. That's my style. Let's get on a plane.
Basinger was sure she made the right decision only days later when she saw the Gotham City set at night in a wheat field outside London.
They lit it up so I could see it one night, and I had just gotten there. And I walked down the streets, and I'll never forget this, because this is really wanting to be, I think ever since I was a teeny little girl, I wanted to be in the movies, and I wanted to create and write and sing and so forth and so on. And this was it. This was the ultimate. This was one of those times, one of those 6 or 7 times in your whole movie existence or your career when you just go, oh, God, that you love where you are.
One drink and I'm flying.
Why are you afraid of flying?
Of course, Basinger is the love interest in the film. She found Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne sexy enough, but when it came to Batman, well, the old phrase, clothes make the man, applies to superheroes as well.
It's a beautiful image. It can stand for so much, you know. And I always say that if a group of women were together, little girls, and the little ones would say, oh, my hero, and the next age group would say, oh, yeah, it's a tough-looking suit, dude, and I like that. And then the other women would go, oh, I just love, oh, God, Batman. It's a very sexy suit.
Would you do a sequel?
In a minute, if it was the same group and crew and London, and in a minute.
With a sidekick like Kim Basinger, no one is likely to miss Robin. Dennis Michael, CNN Entertainment News, Hollywood.
I'm Batman.
Michael Keaton is definitely Batman, but his casting was the most controversial issue in the making of the movie. Fans of the comic feared the movie makers sought to recreate the camp television series of the 60s instead of seeking a more serious portrayal of the Caped Crusader. Michael Keaton says he missed most of the controversy while working on the challenging film in England.
I, if you'll notice, never said word one about it. It was okay with me, because all it was doing actually was making me come up to the challenge. But, you know, I'm not going to go out there and say, oh yeah, you know, what am I going to do? Because also, what if I come out and go, oh yeah, and I'm lousy?
1,000 guys come in.
What do I do?
Keaton's coiled spring portrayal of Batman, surrounded by the brooding world of Gotham City, is likely to quiet the fears of Bat fans once and for all later this week. Surprisingly enough, though, Batman's director Tim Burton is not one of those Bat fans.
I was not a comic book fan. I found comics strangely not visual. Very, you know, I could never tell which box to read, that sort of thing. I grew up more on the TV series, you know. I do remember it was one thing I raced home to see. And, you know, I don't know why I raced home to see it, and I acknowledge it to the power of the image. The reason I wanted to do this is that I love these images. You got great characters to start out with. You've got Batman, you've got the Joker, I mean, yeah. And then you basically fill it out from there. You have these great characters, very visual characters, and then you just set them in an arena where they, you know, can run around and flap their wings and things.
Batman is about to try his wings at the box office, but even before his maiden flight, the producers are floating trial balloons, talking about a trilogy of Bat epics. Keaton is cautious about the circumstances under which he'd put on the cape and cowl again.
Nice outfit.
It would take a good script and a director like Burton, if not Burton himself, and something else.
The Joker is so interesting that's what made this movie really interesting. I don't know enough about the other characters to say, oh, the Penguin would be great. I don't know. Off the top of my head, it doesn't sound very interesting. So if somebody said, we're going to bring back another Joker episode, already I'm kind of interested. Not to say I'd do it, but...
Although we think it would make a very good lunchbox.
Yes, we do.
We really do.
Hold on.
In any case, moviegoers should brace to hang on for the ride. After months of high expectations, Batman is finally here. Dennis Michael, CNN Entertainment News, Hollywood.